Hello everyone. Does this look familiar? It should, because this was the video, or this is how we ended yesterday's video in the 12 Days of Deltarune. But today, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be clicking this button right here called View Community Rank. And what that does, once this loads, it's going to take a little longer because I'm recording, is it shows us an aggregate, like the average, of everyone else who's done this tier list positions. Now, there are some sort of stipulations there. One of them being not everybody who does the tier list gets their rankings represented because you have to have an account. But, you know, it's an interesting sort of way to look into the community a little bit and just see what's going on. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Sometimes people change the names of the tiers, and that kind of can sometimes influence what's going on inside the tier list. Anyway, looks like our lowest ranked character in Undertale Deltarune is Birdly. And while I'm not surprised, I am disappointed. Come on, guys. Seriously? You're going to put Birdly in D tier? Alright. Well. Ooh, we kind of spoiled the B tier here, but C tier. Spanthin and Jevil, both in C tier. I kind of agree with Alfie's. Like, she doesn't have a fight. So she doesn't feel that important to Undertale. And also, she kind of is annoying when she's, like, calling you every 3 seconds in Hotland. I get it. Flowey is insane, though. Like, what? I guess this is people just ranking Flowey low because they don't like him because he's evil. But, like, Flowey is one of the most standout characters in Undertale. Like, if you ask people the characters they remember most from Undertale, it's going to be, like, Sans is number 1, maybe Asriel number 2, but, you know, that's kind of Flowey. Anyway, and then, like, Flowey. Maybe Asriel or Papyrus, I should say that, and then Flowey. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me that Flowey would be in C tier, but, you know, especially considering Asgore's in B tier. Like, I like Asgore. I think he kind of gets undervalued in terms of characters from Undertale just because we don't spend that much time with him. But, like, B tier? Over Flowey? I don't really get that. Noelle in B tier, also insane. Queen in B tier is fair, I guess. And then Cara and Frisk and Chris all in B tier. Because I guess they kind of are... Well, okay, Frisk and Cara are both kind of flat in terms of what we see from Cara is basically just evil. Or, you know, whatever way you want to take it. Evil or just like a prankster child who then committed murder by accident. Either way, it's kind of just like a thing. It's not like a developing character. And it's the same with Frisk, right? Frisk is very static. Chris is not, though. So I find it kind of funny Chris is in B tier. A tier. Susie, Toriel, Ralsei. Wow, I might as well just spoil it. Susie, Toriel, Ralsei, Asriel, and Mettaton. I do agree Mettaton is an A-tier character in Undertale. I would agree with that. I'd say Asriel might be a little high. We don't really see that much from Asriel, right? Like, it's really just the final boss fight. It's mostly Flowey. But, like, you know, interchangeable in some sense. Ralsei and Susie being an A-tier does kind of make sense. I mean, they're both main characters, and Toriel definitely makes sense. Undyne in S tier is a little crazy to me. Like, I don't dislike Undyne, and I like her a lot more in Undertale than Deltarune, right? My other one was Deltarune specific. I'd probably rank her in, like, high B to A tier, right? Both her and Alphys and Asgore kind of feel like they didn't get enough development. And I know that's crazy to say because, like, Undyne and Alphys have, like, a whole segment where it's just like, this is their development. But, I don't know. It doesn't feel the same as, like, you know, somebody like Papyrus or Toriel who endear themselves to you. At least it didn't to me. Papyrus and Sans in S tier, I'm not surprised by, though. That is very unsurprising to me. So overall, I am a bit baffled. I think part of this, I wonder if we scroll through here. No. Weird. Okay, I was going to say, I think part of this might be that sometimes in some of these lists, and we will see this bias going forward, people will just use them to rank Undertale characters, and they'll put all the Deltarune characters in the bottom tier and say, like, haven't played yet, or something. So it kind of drags all the Deltarune characters down. But no, that's not the case in this one. This is genuinely just people's feelings. And I guess I kind of get it. I mean, Undertale's a complete experience, whereas Deltarune is not right now. But, I don't know. I think it's still kind of crazy. Alright. Wait, I forgot to hide it. Well, okay, let's just talk about it then. This is a Deltarune Theories tier list. This is the community ranking. Let's go from top to bottom, because I feel like bottom is going to be more controversial than top tier. Ralsei is the red headband being in top tier is kind of crazy, though. Like, I get it, and there is evidence, and it's fairly likely, but I would not put it on the same tier as gastricated Deltarune and Chess Theory, which are, like, not confirmed, but, like, seem pretty well-founded. It's kind of crazy. Could be Gaster Knight. I mean, I guess. Gaster in the Bunker I can agree with. Time Loop I kind of agree with. And could be, that makes sense. Papyrus Knight here is also kind of crazy. Spamton Mystery Caller. I'm assuming this is in reference to Spamton being the wrong number song caller. It could be wrong, though. Could be something else. And then Anagram Theory. I really don't know what that is off the top of my head. I guess it's the idea that, like, Chris, the anagram is, like, for crisis or something. And then Susie, what is it supposed to be for Susie? I don't remember. Issue. It's supposed to be issue. Like, the characters' names tell you something about them. Which, I mean, kind of. And then Ralsei, that means Ralsei is Asriel, which we put in seriously, and yet we have Anagram Theory up here. I'm just saying. Anyway. Woody Theory being in probably not, but who knows. Okay. I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't put, like, any theory in seriously except politics theory, probably. Because that, like, I've talked about it before. The basic theory is that Jevil represents, like, anarchy and Spamton represents capitalism. Like, they're different, like, political orders. But, like, you can graft so many things onto these characters that, like, I don't know, that doesn't feel as supported with evidence as something like Chess Theory, right? Like, you could probably make a politics theory about the Undertale characters, too. Like, Undyne represents, like, a military-controlled country. And Alphys is about pure science meritocracy or something. And then, Toriel is all about welfare, socialism. I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of how I feel about politics theory. Chris likes the player, so, like, the opposite of Chris wanting to get rid of the player. Sure. I mean, it's like I'd say it's like a 60-40 in terms of Chris not liking us, just based on their behavior so far. But, you know, who knows. Alvin Knighton probably, I mean, sure. I'll take that. Ralsei is Asriel, and seriously, thank you. They're definitely related in some way, but I don't think they're literally the same person, because that doesn't really make any sense with our established rules so far. So there'd have to be a lot of stretching to get there. It's not impossible, but, you know. Ralsei's the river person. I guess that makes sense in seriously, because there's no, like, evidence. If anything, like, the egg man could be the river person, like, you know, just somebody we haven't seen. That's basically it. T-Theory, and seriously, is insane, though, because T-Theory isn't even that, like, revolutionary of an idea. It's just saying that, like, the amount the tea heals you is based on how much the characters like each other, and so we can extrapolate that, which seems to be true if you take into account even just the fact that Noelle gets like 1,000 HP back from Susie T. I don't think it's that much. It's like 200 or something. And then what was the other one that specifically? Oh, Ralsei getting a bunch back from Christy, I think, seems to prove that's pretty much true. Like, honestly, I'd probably put that in probably canon, honestly. Or at least could be, but, you know. Chris Knight in This Deserves to Burn in Hell is also insane. Like, I don't really like Chris Knight myself. I've made that clear in videos before. I don't think that we should, like, you know, gatekeep speculating about the Knight because we saw Chris create a Dark Fountain. Like, you know, that's my problem with it. And also, you know, it seems too early to actually expose who the Knight is. But it's still plausible. Like, there is evidence. You know what I mean? Like, I'd probably put it in probably not, but who knows tier. And the fact that Woody Theory, that has virtually no evidence in the actual game, it's all just about Toby Fox's, like, tweets, which isn't, like, a terrible basis, I guess, but, you know, it's not the best evidence. Isn't probably not, but who knows, but Chris Knight Burns in Hell is insane. I do think something you can kind of see from this is the more a theory is just, this is like one connection I've made, the more people like it. Like, as soon as you have multiple connections, people are like, no, I don't like that. Even if the connection, whether the connections are like real, like in-game data, like T-theory, or something, you know, a little bit crazier like politics theory. People just don't like it if it's not simple. I don't know. That's not entirely true, I guess, because time loop theory is a little complicated, but not that complicated. Like, the actual basis of it isn't that complicated. It's just everything that goes along with it that is. I don't know. Anyway. Shipping tier list. Here we go. I've never heard of any of these. You should not abbreviate Muffet like that, by the way. Toriel and Alphys. I mean, that makes sense to be in Don't Know, Don't Care. They've never even really interacted. I guess there is that one line where Alphys reacts to Toriel showing up, but it's mostly about her talking to Asgore, so it's weird. I can't really go over all of these specifically, so I guess I'm just going to pick out the ones that make the least or most sense to me, because there's actually a lot of them. Asgore and Grilby. Honestly, Grilby with anybody, I'm not sure I totally get, considering Grilby has 0 lines of dialogue, and, like, he's cool, I guess. Or, well, perhaps I should say the opposite. He's hot. But I don't know. I mean, the only one I'd maybe buy it is with Sans, just because they spend so much time together, but that's about it. Swalgston is hilarious, but I get why it's in the bottom tier. Spadiel, Jesus, this is just Toriel in an abusive relationship with her evil, like the evil version of her ex-husband. That's crazy. Who would... What do you use as characterization for Rudin aside from greedy? For I don't really get that. I kind of maybe would understand like Monster Teen and Susie, considering they have this established sort of antagonistic relationship. I guess, but you know, no TPs. These are ones we don't like. Well, we don't like throwing Metaton in with Alphys and Undyne. Okay. We don't like throwing Birdly in. I guess that makes sense. Nobody likes Birdly, apparently. I think Susie Caddy would be funny, okay? Considering Caddy literally hates her, and she's kind of afraid of Caddy, I think. In a lot of ways, like, she's purposefully avoids Caddy. There's Gaster in these? Why would you pair Gaster with Grilby? Of all people. Oh, Grillster! Hell yeah, that's okay. You pair them up because the name is hilarious. Gruffit is also pretty funny. Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, that's funny, but also no. Spampton and every Addison. What the heck? Sandster. I don't think anything else really stands out to me. The rest of these are like Toaster and Torio and Gaster. Most of these are just like, okay. I guess okay. It kind of depends because the timeline's kind of messed up with Asriel and Monster Kid, isn't it? Like, Asriel was a kid surely before Monster Kid was even born, and is now like 20-ish. Even though he comes back in like the familiar kid-like form, so I don't know if I really like that one. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, no, wait, what? There's another tier for things we don't like. What is the difference between these two things? I don't know. A lot of these are just like characters that don't really make sense together by the looks of it. I think Nice Pants could work. I think that could be funny. Why is there two I guess there's a Deltarune and an Undertale version of it. I like the Undertale version of it better, I think, because in Deltarune, Burger Pants actually kind of hates this guy. Which, you know, it could be funny, but, you know. You guys gotta come up with better names. Naughty? Don't like it. See, just kidding. These people are funny. I can't believe. See, I've heard of this one before, Azzy Pants. I'm shocked it's so low because I've actually heard of it before. Also, Bratty and Catty. That's kind of crazy to be this low. Okay. Oh, okay, they're much smaller now. Asgoriel? Okay. Should just call this Asriel and be extra funny with it. But Asgore and Toriel, and I guess I get that, considering it's like, it never works out. King Dings, very funny. Isn't there, wait. Oh, there's two versions of Salphus as well. People like the Undertale version, but don't like the Deltarune version. Okay, they're basically both the same character. Chris L, I kind of agree. I don't know. I see people who read into the sort of like romantic theming of the weird route, even though it's supposed to be kind of like, you know, dark. But I guess, you know, it's fan fiction. What are you gonna do? I also really don't buy Caddington. I really just don't buy that. These are just ones that, like, are obvious. Like, they're just characters who are already kind of paired up with each other. Minus... no, actually, I was going to say minus Gaster and Asgore, but no, Gaster and Asgore used to work together. Same as Sans and Alphys, if you believe Sans was a lab tech there. There's a whole reason why you might believe that. I'm not going to explain it. It's not really the point. Okay. Papyrus and Metaton. I see that a fair amount as well. That makes sense. Sham. Jeffel and Sham. Okay. Wait. Oh, people don't like Deltarune Asriel. I'm just going to call it that. But they like Undertale Asriel. Even though Undertale Asriel is definitely worse in terms of, like, the way it ended. Funny Business is a good name, I guess. It's better than Spamville. Although they combine together, they kind of look like Anvil. Alvin Knight confirmed? Anyway. Wait, there's two versions of Chris L? Oh. Okay. Okay, Sans and Grilby's all the way up here. Makes sense. Queen and King? Whatever. Oh, okay. And there's 2 versions of Catty and Bratty as well. So the Undertale version is up here. I guess that makes sense. I think it's kind of funny in both dimensions, to be honest. And then Des and Azrael makes sense. I don't even want to really think about Chris and Ralsei for many reasons, but we'll leave it at that. Good. Deltarune, Alphys, and Undyne. Okay. Chris and Susie, sure. Soriel, Sans, and I think Undertale, Toriel, okay. Asgore and Rudy, sure. Chris and Birdly. Surprisingly popular. I do think it's funny. And then, oh wait, the other version of Sans and Toriel. Okay. Sure. Great. Dogamy and Doggeressa. I guess. I don't know where I'd put that. It's boring, but whatever. Royal Guards, that's funny. Sans and Ketchup, very funny. And then top tier is the lesbians, which, you know, I guess that makes sense. I am kind of surprised that we don't also have, like, something else in the top tier. Like, I'm a little surprised there's nobody else who makes it up there. Like, not the Royal Guards, not Quirly. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just makes sense because there's lots of fodder for these 2 ships in the actual games. Whereas there's not really a lot with most other characters, so you kind of just have to make it up. I guess that makes sense. All right, Chapter 3, Secret Boss Predictions. Microwave. I've never heard anybody say this. I've also never heard anybody say the mirror. But yeah, both of those I would put in D tier for sure. The TV is also kind of silly, considering we pretty much know the TV is the main boss. So the TV antenna actually, I don't think is a bad idea. The idea that there's like somebody controlling the TV or who used to control the TV. I kind of like that. Chariel as the secret boss, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. The secret bosses so far have been sort of discarded things, and Chariel still sees a good amount of use, I would say. So, one of Chris's knives, that would be very boring, but, you know. It'd be fine, I guess. Also not really discarded. The god of hyperdeath on Azrael's computer, like the joke that he was making Undertale on his computer before leaving for college. Yeah, that's definitely not even coming up, I don't think. And the butterscotch pie technically does make sense because it was never actually finished. Like, it was abandoned halfway through the creation of it. So I do expect to see some sort of exploration into the butterscotch pie in the Dark World, but I think it'll be probably more terrain based than an actual character. Like, it'll probably be a mini game to finish making the pie or something, you know? Unlikely. Microphone. Yeah, now that we know that Mike is not the main villain, the microphone sort of theory is kind of out the window. Remote controller, I do kind of like that one, but I get it. Radio. Is there even a radio in the Dreamer House? I don't know. The Yoshi knockoff. I mean, it could happen, but again, probably not. Why would you pick that of all things? The landline phone. I guess there is the argument when you inspect this, it says, why would I need to use this? I have a cell phone. So there's an argument that it is abandoned, I guess. I like the Book of Hymns, just not for this chapter. I think if we were going to the church chapter, next in chapter 4, then maybe we're going to bring the Book of Hymns, and that'll be something. The birdcage, no, that's too important, right? We don't want our secret boss for chapter 3 to kind of just like spoil the whole plot or anything. A toy camera, I have no idea where that idea is coming from, but I just don't have any idea where that's coming from. Woody theory in unlikely, that's where it belongs. Even if you like it, you gotta admit it's kind of unlikely. Green crayon, possible. Okay, sure. Not really any thoughts. Likely. The red horn headband, that would be kind of amazing. I think it would shock a lot of people. So I guess I agree with that. How to Draw Dragons, I really think that's going to be referenced in like a mini game or something. I don't even know if that's going to be a full-on character, just because of the implication of what that might turn into. But you know, the guaranteed is the Trash Flowers. I mean, that is the biggest one, right? Or something else that's not on the list, which, yeah, that's also likely as well. I think it's kind of unlikely that the Chapter 3 Secret Boss is going to be something we can just see. But on the other hand, I do like the Trash Flowers. So you know what? I kind of agree with this list. This is a well-made list. Good job, Deltarune community. Alright, Chapter 2, Knight Candidates. F tier, Oberon Smog. If you don't know what this is, which I imagine that's partially why it's in F tier, it's Jaru's theory that Gerson's dust is going to come back to life and become the Knight somehow. And become like half Darkner and half Lightner. Which, like, the idea of a half Darkner, half Lightner, I think is decent. I just don't think it's going to be Gerson who would come back in that case. It would be, like, Des or Azrael or something like that. Probably more so Des than Azrael, but you know what I mean. So I don't... I'd probably put it in F tier as well. I mean, it's basically an OC, right? But the concept is interesting. D tier... Both two versions of Cara. I'm not sure whether there's two versions of Cara on this list. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm pretty sure Chris is this universe's version of Cara. At least in every way that matters. You know what I mean? Even if you think they're like Frisk, who's grown up, raised by the Dreamers, that basically makes them Cara. For the purposes of this universe, right? Asgore. I really don't think it's Asgore. I mean, that would be kind of funny to have him play the exact same role in Deltarune as Undertale, but I also don't think it would be worth it. I'm pretty sure the Knight's going to be a new character from Deltarune. Not like a character we've never seen before necessarily, but a character who is brand new to Deltarune. B tier. Wow, top of B tier. It's Alvin. Good job, guys. Frisk is somehow here? That's crazy. The Tree Man. I mean, the problem with that is that if the Tree Man is the Knight, that kind of implies that the man behind the tree is probably another character who we already know. So it's kind of funny to put it in B tier, but I guess that kind of makes sense. Rules in B tier is insane, even though, I mean, never mind, it should be an S tier. Chris in B tier, that's fair. Mad Dummy. This is a theory? Okay. And the mayor. I think the mayor should be higher, honestly, but, you know, it's fine. Papyrus and Gaster are A tier. There's just no way, okay? I think this is like a really cool moment, right? I mean, I've already talked about Papyrus Knight before. I think not only is there like no evidence of it, it's just basically based on people's headcanons being like, this would be cool, right? And it's like, yeah, but is it good for the story? Not really. Papyrus being the Knight would be like a epic moment, but I think overall it would damage the actual story of Deltarune to have a character from Undertale be the Knight. And not only that, character from Undertale that we have not seen at all. Like, it would be like psychological damage for everybody who's played Undertale to have Papyrus be the main villain. But at the same time, is that really worth... Like, was that Toby's dream? Was to make Papyrus a bad guy? I don't think so. And Gaster, it's like, yeah, I guess. But Gaster is the answer to everything, right? Oh, who's the river person? Well, it's probably Gaster. Oh, who's the Knight, Gaster? Who's talking to us on Twitter, Gaster? Who did this Valentine? Well, it must be Gaster if we can't figure out who it is. So, you know, I do feel like this is kind of like a... It's a weird pick to put in A tier, is what I'll say. Because it's like, there's 0% evidence, so it's really just a 50-50 of yes or no, if you believe in it or not. And S tier is even crazier. Des, I can kind of get on board with. The vessel, this is again just like vibes. It's like, well, the vessel's going to be used for something, so surely it's the main villain of the story. I'm not saying it'll never happen, all right? It could happen, but I would not make that my most likely choice at this point in the game. And Azrael's even crazier because, like, how is Azrael hiding? You have to kind of subscribe to my crazy purple guy theory of, like, Azrael's dressing up in, like, the dinosaur costume or something so nobody recognizes him. Because everybody in town knows Azrael. Everybody in town loves Azrael. Everybody in town knows that Chris would be thrilled that Azrael is back home. So, like, if Azrael was in town, we, as Chris, would hear about it immediately. Like, he'd have to be, like, sneaking around in the dead of night in a costume or, like, somehow, you know, invisible. Or he'd have to have changed so radically since he went to college that nobody can recognize him somehow. It's just not. It's just crazy. And again, it's like, that's what we just did in Undertale. Was Toby's dream about Deltarune really that we make Azrael the final boss again? That's all I'm saying. I do agree that Des is, like, fairly likely, though. Just because we've heard a lot about Des despite never seeing Des. So, you know, if you're trying to build up anticipation around a reveal, that would be a good way to do it. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Those were the ones I wanted to check out. I hope you enjoyed this little dive into the world of how people are feeling about all of this stuff before Chapter 3 and 4 come out. Because 100% after Chapter 3 and 4 come out, all of these opinions are going to change. Like, if Alvin gets a major role in Chapter 4 because it's in the church or something, it's going to get a huge boost. Whereas, you know, if Azrael just shows up in town and is like, I'm back home, everybody, major, like, loss in potential for Azrael being the knight. You know what I mean? So, we'll see. We'll find out very soon. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.